What's up everybody, Jason Cole here with rcgroups.com, and we're taking a look at the Connex ProSight HD Vision Pack. This is an HD FPV system designed for drone racing. So, what can we say about this thing? HD FPV is simply awesome. So going from the standard definition analog video signal from traditional FPV systems to looking at the super crisp and clear HD image is just simply amazing. But let's go ahead and talk about the setup real quick. So it is a little bit different than the standard systems you might have. It might be hard to see, but right in here, get this prop out of the way, this is the transmitter. It's a little bit longer than a traditional system, and it's about as wide as this frame is. And so it's got some mounting holes, and so what I had to do was basically mark and drill holes in the frame, and I used some nuts and bolts to kind of secure it to the top plate. This is the Diatone Tyrant, by the way. Normally this frame, this top plate, is all the way down on this first riser bar here, and it's just above my flight board. A little bit lower profile look, but with this system I needed to raise that up, so I added some spacers. And underneath we've got our antenna attachment, so you can see these are the snap-in small antenna connectors. We'll talk about the antenna in a second, but it does utilize a special 720p HD camera. I believe it's a CMOS camera, and they provide this little mount, and they really want you to do a vibration dampened mounting system, so they give you these rubber isolators, and you're supposed to mark and drill and make that fit with your frame. I wasn't really able to do that with the space and size I had with this frame, so I ended up bolting the camera mount directly to the frame and kind of locking everything in so it's solid. It is adjustable on the tilt, and I did remove the rubber camera protector. This normally has a pretty large rubberized sleeve that kind of sits over the camera and can kind of protect the lens a little bit. I went ahead and just removed that for weight and some space savings and allow me to get the tilt angle up a little bit higher, as you can see there. But it is a specialized camera. You have to use this camera. It comes with the system. It's got this rather many pins. It's a multi-pin connection that goes from the camera to the transmitter. It is powered by 5 volts, and that is coming directly off of the video transmitter here, which does accept a wide voltage range. I believe it's like 7 to 18 volts, so you can power it from anything directly off of a 2 to a 4 cell LiPo. So that's going to fit in with most racers' batteries that they're using. Now let's get to the antenna. So when I first saw this antenna in pictures, I was like, holy cow, that thing's going to get tore up when you crash and tumble around and everything. And I guess you're assuming that this is made of stiff, hard, brittle plastic, and that is not the case. While this top piece is plastic, it is a 2-piece setup. So this kind of, you connect your antennas. They really want you to get your antennas one vertical, one horizontal, and that's just going to give you the best signal clarity and signal for your receiver to pick up. That's the best way for that to be. But this bottom base basically screws onto your frame with 4 screws and nuts and bolts, but it's rubberized, so this thing can move all around, right? So when you crash, it's just not going to break. It's going to bend, and it's going to, you know, just get out of the way of anything, and you're going to have a really, really, really hard time tearing this thing up. And if you look at the standard antennas, I don't really have one out right now, but you can kind of see it's not really much taller than a standard dipole antenna, maybe a little bit taller than some of your circular polarized stuff you have, but I have seen antennas stick up this far for regular analog 5.8 gigahertz. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. If you're coming in high on a gate, you might clip it, but I don't think it's going to crash you out. I don't, you know, unless it kind of catches somehow weird. It's just going to bend this back. You might get a little blip on the quad, but I think you're going to be pretty fine and safe. So, you know, that's a lot better than I thought it was going to be looking at the picture. So really happy with how they did that. The antenna wires do run down the inside of this base and then into the transmitter. So that's pretty cool. Now, you've already seen my ground station here. You get this, you know, normal receiver. This looks similar to the Connex standard receivers for the full commercial kind of HD FPV stuff that's out there. But this is a special unit, and only this receiver that comes with it will work with the transmitter. You cannot use a standard Connex video receiver with this transmitter. We've got our HDMI port on the side. This is the Eachine Goggles one. It's got an HDMI in, so it's got a 1080p screen in this thing. So I really wanted a nice portable goggle type setup with the HD, and so I just velcroed the receiver to the top and made a dual connector to power the receiver and the goggles off of a single battery, and that works out really nice. It is a little bit heavier, you know, a little bit weighs on your face a little bit more than the goggles do normally, but I think it's worth the hassle to deal with that. It's not a big deal. But I did not want to have to mount this on a tripod and constantly haul that with me and set up a ground station that way and run a long HDMI cable into my goggle. So this is just an all-in-one, nice portable, easy setup. And then you can change out these antennas. So this is operating on the 5.8 gigahertz frequency band. And you can use patch antennas on the sides and circular polarized. You know, you can kind of mix and match your antennas if you want. I'm just using all the standard ones right now for this test, and these work fine, but you can get a little bit better penetration and distance using some patches and things. So that's up to you. You can totally do that if you want. Now I think I'll go ahead and I'll pull out a monitor so we can see a little bit easier than trying to film inside the goggles. We'll hook this up, and then I'll show you some of the options that you have with the receiver and the camera, and we'll go there, and then we'll take a look outside and see the big clarity difference between analog and digital HD. Okay, so I've got the receiver connected up to my Black Pearl monitor, which is not an HD screen, but it's going to give us a really good idea of what we're looking at here. So when you pull it up, you get the nice ProSight logo, and it's going to search for the machine. So we'll go ahead and power that up. And it'll just take a few seconds, and it'll find it. And there we go. So we're looking at the ProSight here. You can kind of see, I'll zoom in on the dark here so you can see the OSD. Let me zoom in on the screen a little bit more here. There you go, it's a little bit better. So you can see at the bottom we've got our battery voltage, we've got the runtime. You can see at the kind of the top right there, it says Auto HQ, so we're in high quality mode. And then the rest of the OSD is from the monitor itself, so we won't talk about that. But I'll show you an idea of how real time this is. You can kind of see my hand on both sides. There's your latency. It's just about nothing. I mean, you can't really tell. So this is way better than the HD Wi-Fi stuff that you normally get. That is, you know, instantaneous, and this is high quality mode, and it's really good. So super happy with that. Now on the receiver, you do get some options here, so we can click the button and go into the menu so we can search for drones. Kind of scroll down, we can change the frequency mode. You do have some options there. You can use the ProSight bands. You can go to fixed frequency if you need to for races, or you know, just go back, or leave it on auto, which is what I do. So if we scroll down here and go to setup, we can take a look at the status. You can see the link quality. Just get some, you know, basic information there. Regional RF. You can, I bet this is basically where you can change the power output for European versions or US, where depending on where you are. But we don't have to mess with that. Power alerts. You can set your thresholds and you'll get alarms on the OSD. The OSD here, you've got different views. So if you click into that, you can set it to race mode, and we'll back out and show you what that looks like here. So it is a kind of more basic version, and it simply just has the time and battery voltage at the bottom, and that is about it. And then if we go back into that, oops, past it. So we'll go back into our, whoops, okay. Let's see what we're doing here. We're going into OSD mode. And so we have viewer, which is, I believe, more of a spectator mode. So you might have seen this at the Drone Nationals with the ESPN coverage there. So that's going to give us just the name of the pilot and the ProSight logo at the top and nothing else. So that's just a wide open view with some logo stuff there. And we're back. So I had a bad battery there and it went dead on me, and so now we got a new battery plugged in. So let's get back into this. We're going to go back into the OSD mode, and we were just looking at the viewer mode, and I'm going to go ahead and set mine to the detailed, which is what I like. So if we go back and look at that, you get battery voltage, auto, you can see the signal strength at the top here. You get all that good information that you're going to want to see while you're flying usually. So let's hop back in and go down to Bluetooth. There is an application for iOS and Android devices that you can connect to your phone and change all these settings and look at stuff instead of doing it through the OSD menu here. It's kind of cool. We can go down and let's go into the camera mode here. It is nice that we have this flip video option, so if you mount your camera upside down and you power it up and you're upside down, you don't have to mechanically go mess with your camera. You can just flip the video feed right there, which is really nice. But under video quality, we have two options. We got high quality and high performance. So high quality is what I'm using right now. It's what I prefer. It is the 720p, best looking, most detail. So what can happen in high quality mode when the signal degrades or becomes blocked, you don't lose latency, but you will get a reduced frame rate. So you might see some lower than 30 frames per second coming in, which isn't that terrible really, but it doesn't really affect the latency of how things move. It's just the frame rate of the video. And then high performance will actually lower the video quality and keep the frame rate high. And I don't really like the way that looks. You can kind of see now how good it looks under high quality. And we'll go ahead and switch to high performance. And when you do this, it kind of does reset the camera, kind of powers everything back on. And it just takes a few seconds to do. So you're not going to do this in flight, obviously. This is before you take off. But once it comes back on, we will see the image quality has been degraded by a good bit. Let's let the camera focus. Now, you might not be able to tell much of a difference really through the camera, through the monitor, but what I'm seeing is the details and everything. This is more similar to an analog setup. It is better than analog. I'll try to do a comparison shot a little bit later on, show you that difference, but you know, high quality, you might want to use that if you really want the details, and then if you really are going for maximum performance and keeping that frame rate up, you can do the high performance setting if the 720p video quality isn't what you're looking for. But at least, hey, you get some options, which is nice. So we'll jump back in. I'll just leave it in this mode for right now. But that's basically all the options you have through the OSD menu. So other than that, it's just about going out there, flying, having a good time, enjoying the HD digital FPV revolution. I really think this is the future. The big barrier for people right now is probably the cost. So it's $499 to get this system. That includes the camera, the transmitter, the antenna, the receiver, all the stuff you need for it. That is pretty, pretty high cost compared to a traditional analog system. So, it is definitely for early adopters right now, but like I said, this is the future. This will become mainstream and really the only way to go, especially if the sport's going to take off as a mass media sport. We're going to need those HD feeds for broadcasts, for spectator viewing, those types of things, to really take it to the next level. So it's awesome to see Amimon and Connex really take this on their own to go out and build this for drone racing. It's an amazing system. And so with that said, let's go ahead and I'll go outside and try to get some screenshots and some video clips to give you some comparisons between analog and then HD, high performance and high quality. So let's go do that now. Okay, so I wasn't able to capture the quality differences on video, but I was able to get some great photos of that. So I do have a quality comparison section on the written review on rcgroups.com where you can see the photos and the difference between analog SD and the digital HD high quality and high performance modes. So this is actually my first flight, and it was quite tricky because I put the receiver attached to a kind of a 13-inch monitor so I could kind of record that with my camera so you could see it, but I had some towels wrapped around to try to reduce the glare, and then I had to try to peek my head up underneath all of that and see the monitor, and it was pretty tricky to kind of see what I was doing and how I was flying. But so this was the first test flight, and you can see some of the vibrations and stuff going on there, and that is why they really want you to use the rubber isolators and use vibration dampening to mount the camera. So I wasn't able to do that, and this is what I get for that. But it's good so you can see. If you hard mount your camera, this is potentially what it could look like. But the details are there, the quality is there. This is in HQ high quality mode, and it's a really good looking image. You can see there's some kind of breakup digital artifacts that happen every now and then as you get in different orientations to the receiver antennas, but it's not anything like what you get on SD feeds, so it's a whole lot better. It's a lot easier to fly. You can just see what you're doing, see things a lot easier. You can see the detail on the stones there. So I'm extremely happy and wanted to say thanks to Amimon for sending the ProSight out for review.